Hello and welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in. Big news in relation to Manchester United's transfer activities this afternoon. We will be live, of course, after the Leeds United Man City game. And by the way, big shout out right now to Everton. They're about to get their fourth win of the Premier League season, 4 from 4. Their best start to a top flight league campaign since 1965. Indeed, they went on to win in 1965, the 66 season. And on top of that, undoubtedly been the best team in the Premier League since everything kicked off a few short weeks ago. But we're here to talk Man United in the transfer. We were live when all the news broke earlier, but Jadon Sancho was missing from the match, not just the match day team for Borussia Dortmund today, but the squad. He was not on the team bus. He was not at the stadium. This confirms Sky Sports reports this week that he had been absent from training since Tuesday onwards. This was a rumor that was consistently denied by a lot of people, a lot of journalists, a lot of the credibles. No, he's at training. He's training with the first team. Rare. We were consistently told this over the course of the week. Today, he is not in the matchday squad. A quote here from the sporting director, which I'm about to read out to you now, is one that needs to be listened to, Michael Zorc, who said that Jadon Sancho is our player and he has a long-term contract with us. He was just ill. There's no transfer reason. He was ill. That's why Jadon Sancho is not playing today. From my side of things, I can't help but say I think that's an absolute nonsense. There is certainly a deal in the offing. I stand by what I said yesterday, though. If this goes wrong, it's on Woodward. If we end up bidding the actual money and it gets turned down because we passed the deadline, then whoever gave Woodward the advice need not be used again. And Woodward need not be ever involved in a Manchester United transfer for the rest of his days, because we've had the opportunity of signing the best British teenager since Wayne Rooney, and an opportunity to sign one of the very best attacking players in the world this summer. And if we have messed this up, not due to finances, but if we have messed this up due to bad advice, there needs to be an absolute inquest into this. But it's my belief that Jadon Sancho has pulled himself out of Dortmund's footballing activities this week in the hope to apply pressure to Dortmund to sell him and to move him on if Manchester United make an adequate bid. The reports very late last night were that Man United had submitted what they believed to be an adequate bid for the player. All eyes on the next 24 to 48 hours in relation to Jadon Sancho. Aside from that, before we go any further, please hit that like button for us. Really, really important that we get that done. Aside from that, we've also got to look at the situation with Alex Telles. Rumours this afternoon that he has been offered to Manchester City as an option for them. That's been muted by a few. There are also suggestions that Man United would rather wait until January, where they can offer him a contract to join in the summer of 2021 for free. This is what's being spouted this afternoon. There are a lot of reports that if Man United do not get the Alex Telles deal completed today, it will not happen, because tomorrow he flies off to be with the Brazil international squad, of course, for the international break that is about to kick in. A further report I've also read today on the United report is that Manchester United are no longer looking at Ousmane Dembele. He will stay at Barcelona, and a big part of that is to do with the fact that Memphis Depay will be staying at Olympique Lyon. So now Barcelona clearly do not want to get rid of a player. But I want your views. I want your opinions on this. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling in relation to these big Manchester United transfers. The Jadon Sancho one, do you think him not being in the starting lineup is... Can you read anything into that? Is there anything about him not being in the lineup that gives you hope that Manchester United are about to pull off a signing? I want to know your views and your opinions. As I say, things are now certainly starting to heat up. We want to hear from you. Skype lines are being opened right now. Just search Football Terrace FC on Skype. You will find us. We're the only ones with that name. Our logo is on there. A comment here says, tempted to mute Romano at this point. He has been wrong about everything regarding Manchester United this summer. Sadiq here, one of our members, says, I hope. Oh, hang on. I didn't have my sound turned down before answering that call. Sadiq here says, I hope that Sancho missing means he is coming to Manchester United. I'm hoping the same thing, bro. I'm truly hoping for exactly the same thing. We've got, I'm going to try and pronounce this right. Arane, is that how you pronounce your name?
No, Imran Luba.
Okay, that's
by the way, it's epic nin, by the way.
Okay, there we go, bro. Listen, what do you make? What do you make of this Sancho situation and the other United rumors today?
Well, it's worrying for you guys. I think it goes. It's no one bit. It's no any of the other. It's a bit confusing, really. So you don't know who to trust, really. It's like,
well again, this is.
I think you should be excited.
I get that. What's your opinion on him not playing for Dortmund today? Do you think he's ill, or do you think he has pulled himself out the squad?
I think it's quite significant. I think it shows that that Dortmund are lying, and it's about the transfer and stuff. So I think it's a boost for Man United, in my opinion.
Okay, I get where you're coming from, and I tend to agree with you on that one, mate. Thank you very much for calling the show, sir. Really appreciate it. Lines are open. Call in now. A comment from David said, okay, talking to each other. I don't really want to read them out if you're chatting to each other because there's no context to them when we do that. Comment here says, Fabrizio is the biggest in the know. People are so desperate. They just listen. We've got Ali on the line now. Ali, what do you make of Man United's transfer news today? Sancho missing from the matchday squad. Tella supposedly being off until next summer, and the Dembele deal ending. What's your opinions, mate?
Well, I'm very happy for the news that Dembele is not going to happen, and we were not going to go after him after all. I agree he's a really, really good player. However, he is injury prone, and I'm not quite sure how we can get the best out of him. I'm sure Ali would get the best out of him, but his injury is really horrifying me. As for Sancho, I can see it coming. Definitely. I highly doubt we're going to hear anything from him tomorrow because it's a game day. But on Monday, definitely, we're going to make a bid. And I'm very sure he will come to Manchester United. As for him not training and he's not in the squad, definitely he might be trying to push a move, but he's trying to do it like in a respectful way. He doesn't want to make like a big fuss out of it. As for Dortmund, when they say, like Michael Zorc says, like, yeah, no, he's not going anywhere, he's staying, I'm very sure in the last minute when they gave him the asked price, definitely he has to say, oh yeah, okay, we agree, because that was the deal between him and Sancho. Hey, Sancho, like, if the right deal comes in, you can go. So definitely he will go. And people who say is like, yeah, but they didn't have any backup plan. They don't want to get rid of him. Who's going to play instead of Sancho? I'm very positive they already have a backup plan. They already have like a few players like set up to get when they sell Sancho. That's my opinion.
And buddy, I understand that. I think it's some really good points being made in there. Thank you very much, as ever, mate, for calling the show. If you agree, disagree, let us know what you think. And Frill, up next we have, and I can't even see the wording on that. What's your name, buddy?
Hello.
Yeah, what's your name?
Niall.
What do you make of this news today in regards to these big 3 deals that Man United are linked to?
I don't see Sancho happening. I really don't. I've been saying this for months now. I just don't see it happening. I think when Dortmund are pretty upfront when it comes to things, you know, if they're not interested in selling, they're not interested in selling.
So do you think there's nothing to be read into the fact that he is missed training this week, that he missed a game, 2 games this week, the fact that a lot of the
I think he's pushing for it.
Okay, so, but you don't think that's gonna you don't think that's gonna help him? You still think that Man United will fail in their pursuit of him?
I think so, because I think he's still under contract, and as long as he's under contract, you know,
What makes
they're
you what
the
makes you
ones
so
that hold
sure
it
about
better.
Dortmund? I'd love to understand what makes you so sure about Dortmund, because they've had this stance with the vast majority of players that have ended up leaving. The one thing Sancho hasn't done sooner is what you're now claiming he is doing, and that's pushing for a move away. There's a lot of train of thought that if they'd have started doing this 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, it could have moved along quicker. What's going to make Dortmund dig their heels in more this time, as opposed to what they did with say Dembele or Aubameyang? What's different about this particular deal, in your opinion?
I don't think they need to sell him, and I think they're trying to stop becoming the selling club so much. So I think they're trying to more or less more compete in the Champions League a lot better and be a bigger club than they, you know. I don't think they're going to like sell him anytime soon. I mean, I pretty like I can't see them selling him. Certainly
Yeah,
not selling
I
him
hear
for
that, and
for
just
less than the price.
I get that, and just out of interest, what team do you support yourself?
I'm a United fan.
You're a Man United fan. Fair enough, buddy. I appreciate you coming on the show and having your say, mate. Thank you very, very much indeed. Nick P here with a super chat. He says, I've just watched Haaland and Gio Reyna combine to great effect today. I think Sancho's already been replaced in their team and the future is written. Well, Nick P, I hope you are right. We're on to the next caller here. Welcome to the Football Terrace. What do you want to say?
Hi.
Just about. What do you want to say?
So my opinion on the matter, which is I don't think we'll get Sancho, and I had this belief from late August when Michael Zorg was consistent about his stance.
Mm.
So, I don't know why some fans and the media thinks that if we submit a late bid right now, it will get accepted for some odd reason. Like I see no advantage in Dortmund selling him right now at this late stage when they can just keep him.
I understand that. So I think you make some good points there. I think what has to be considered is two things. There's one thing saying we would reject any bid, and then you actually going through with that when the money is sitting there on your table. The other element is Sancho now looking like, to some, like he's pushing for a move, taking himself away from training. Football clubs very rarely want to have disgruntled players within their ranks. Whether it's right or wrong, it's something they don't really want to have, because they want the right mindset to be there. So what Dortmund may look at is, well, we've got an upset Sancho that really wants this move. The money's now been offered. If we say no, he might put his head back down and get on with his work and be brilliant. He also may be pushed off course slightly. And then we have this individual within our dressing room who's very influential, one of our best players, maybe our best player, who isn't quite at the races. Could that be detrimental to us? Now, they'll have to make a decision. And their decision might be, we'll take that risk. We think it'll be okay. And they move on from there. They may decide, look, 120 million euros, some of it in whatever structure, that'll do us. We'll take that. We'll move on. We'll move him out and we'll reinvest later on down the line. It's one of those things for me. The reason why I think people still have belief in this deal is because although this has gone nearer to the wire, I believe, than other deals, Dortmund have always collapsed in the end when it's come to the sale of their big players, or invariably do. So it's always going to give people hope.
Could I interrupt just now?
Of course you can. Of course you can.
One point that you said.
Yep.
So, there's this thing where a lot of people are relying on this precedent that Dortmund has set in selling players eventually, such as Aubameyang or Ousmane Dembele, right? But I think two calls before me, there was someone who said, Dortmund is just trying to change their image and transition into a decently run club that can actually compete. So they're trying to take away this, this bitchiness aspect of them in eventually always seeding. Yep. And so I don't know how much reliance and credence we can put in this precedent in them selling. They want to transition, and they will come out looking like a strong club right now.
Well, I think you make a good point. There's a signing they made in January, though, that undermines that train of thought. They have signed one of the best young strikers in the world, who in the summer of 2021 is going to have a £50 million buyout clause in his contract. That isn't the type of signing, in my opinion, that a club makes if they're looking at becoming a Bayern Munich. If they're looking to not be looked at as a selling club, you wouldn't. Man United didn't do that deal for that reason. Man United didn't sign Reguilon because we didn't want to have two buyout clauses in that completely weaken our stance of keeping the player. I mean, they've done such a deal. If Reguilon kills it and becomes the best left back in the world, Real Madrid could just buy him back to sell him so they get the money for it. It's, for me, if you don't want to be considered a selling club, you can't do deals like that. So they might want to change their image. Is that what they're about? There's also a train of thought, and this is just what I've read as opposed to knowing anything, that a reason a lot of these sort of really young, talented players from across the world like signing for Dortmund is there are lots of gentlemen's agreements and often clauses that are put into contracts that allow a player to do 1, 2, 3, 4 years. And if adequate bids or if actual buyout clauses are met, they will honor those players and allow them to leave and join other football clubs, as an example. And they actually offered that to Jadon Sancho this summer. They said, if we get X money for you, we will let you leave. The big clubs very rarely do that.
Condition, sorry to interrupt again. That condition was coupled with the specific deadline. Like, we all know it's arbitrary, and it doesn't. We shouldn't really pay that much respect to it. But I'm pretty sure, based on what we've heard from the news, it's that £108 plus that date, which is already passed, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I think you're right in that. It's an absolute, nothing you're saying is wrong in that regard. But what you're ignoring in terms of what the news has told us is what other countless credible journalists have told us, that Man United have been told that the deadline doesn't matter. If they offer the money, they will get it, and if they offer X, whatever this mythical bid that we've been quoted, but without the actual money, is United have been told they're going to do it. We've had Jamie Jackson on the show, very credible journalist from The Guardian. We've had multiple others on here who have said United were always going. Go back and, again, this stuff never made the headlines back then. But back in July, these people were saying United are going to wait until the last week of the window before they bid. So if they were going to wait so that tells me United have been told something. Now, they might be wrong. Man United might be wrong to follow that advice. And history tells us they've got a lot of things wrong. So for me, this deal is still very much well and truly on. If United land him, great. If we don't, and we've decided to wait till now to do the bid, then we need to sack the advisors. We need to sack the intermediaries, and we need to make sure we never take their advice again. But I think when you look at everything overarching, I completely get the side you're coming from, that Dortmund are trying to change their approach. Why are we not taking their word seriously? It's difficult. It's as hard to take Dortmund seriously about not being a selling club as it is to trust Man United's board with making signings. That I think is what has made this such an interesting transfer. If it was Liverpool chasing Sancho, I would say 95% of people would still believe the deal is well and truly on, because we'd pull on the fact that the Dortmund always end up selling and Liverpool nearly always get their targets. But because you have a selling club versus a club that burns a lot of deals, everybody's 50-50 with it, and everybody's minds are changing on a very consistent basis. That's my sort of view in relation to that. What team do you support, by the way?
Man U for life.
Oh, you're a Man United fan, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
Just trying to understand where you're coming from. But let's see what happens. What do you make of the Alex Telles situation?
Yeah, the Telles situation has also been frustrating. I mean, I think it's been like 3 weeks now where we know that the agreement with the player has been set. It's just between the clubs. And, I don't think it'll pass through also. To be honest, I don't actually pay too much attention to the Brazil point, because I think a lot of people are saying, oh, because Telles is leaving to his international duties, we only have this 1 day time frame. I don't see how a player going to his national duties is any relevant to this deal when the personal contract has already been set according to the media. So that I don't think is relevant in my opinion. But at the same time, I don't think it'll get through.
Fair enough. Listen, buddy, I really appreciate you coming on and giving us your opinions, mate. Thank you very, very much, as always. Next on the show, we've got man like Rack. Rack, what you saying, mate? Is Jadon Sancho pushing for a move, or do you think he just got a bit of a cold?
It's interesting, man, because we've always been told that Jadon Sancho's good, solid professional. He's not going to push for the move, and on the face of it, he might be. I think anybody who dismisses that out of hand without knowing all the facts, the only people who really know the facts are Sancho and Dortmund, and United probably, they're kind of they're jumping the gun, because we don't really know. I think there's a chance, but it's really late, man. Like this, if it doesn't happen, then who and Dembele doesn't happen, who are United going to go for? Like Sarr?
Probably no one. Maybe Sarr. Maybe that's an option as an example. Yeah, it's getting to a point now where it feels like it's all or nothing, which isn't where Man United would have wanted to have been at all. At
Man United,
point.
Ollie, it doesn't make any sense.
No, and like I just said to that, and like I just said to the previous caller, who did seem very frustrated, and it's probably more at Man United's business than anything else. But why this is such an interesting story is I stand by it. I trust Dortmund's stance as being a non-selling club as much as I trust Man United to get the deal done. I don't trust either party. Does that make sense? I think that's what makes it hard. Like I said, this was Liverpool versus Dortmund in this battle. We'd all just be like, Dortmund chatting, Liverpool getting him because we have faith in you. Where it's the other way. Do you get where I'm coming from? It's if we were dealing with a club that are traditional, if Jadon Sancho was at Bayern Munich, I would trust 100% what Munich said because they're not a selling club. Yeah. So I just feel like that's what's making this so difficult. And the fact he's not there this week, what's really kicked it in for me. And by the way, I stand by everything I said yesterday. If we've messed this deal up because of Woodward, I'll stand by that. Because if we've taken the wrong advice and they do reject it, it's mad. But this is where, again, it's hard to ignore these points. And I know people that hate Man United try to ignore it. But 2 days running, we were told he wasn't at training by Sky. Sky are not credible. Jan Fjortov has confirmed that he's at training. And when I say at training with the team. Yep. Today, suddenly, he's not well enough to even be in the matchday squad. So if 4 days ago he wasn't fit to travel because he had a bad chest infection, but the day after he was training with the team and yesterday he was training with the full team, why is he not? That kind of damages his fitness too much to not be involved at all. I then read a report saying, well, they've kept him away because it's an infection and he didn't want to infect the rest of the squad. I'm like, well, why was he training with them then? That doesn't make sense, right? So that's all gone backwards. That's because in my opinion, I think he's pulled away with sort of frame of mind stuff, but Dortmund won't want to release his frame of mind stuff because of course that sends the message that he really is pushing to move. Interestingly, again, this is where I say to Man United fans, even that don't think it's happening, read both sides of the coin. The BBC reported yesterday that Man United are reportedly very relaxed, like completely relaxed about this situation. So I sort of sit there and think, the problem I have, I can't allow myself to trust Woodward. I wish I could. I wish that I could trust that they were relaxed about this. And if they are relaxed and they put this bid in tomorrow morning or last night or whatever it is, and we pull him off, and it turns out that, I don't know what the negotiations are, but all they demanded the whole time is they wanted cash up front for everything or it ain't going to happen. And United have managed to do 85 million up front. The rest is going to be paid in installments. But we had to wait till this late. Then it all makes sense. And it brings it all together in the end. Do you get where I'm coming from?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, the whole cash up front thing, I think is a little bit of a red herring because one way or another, that could have been financed anyway. So even if, with the low interest rate and perhaps United would pay 60 million, maybe pay the finance cost of the extra 25 million or all these kind of things. Who no one really knows. The interesting thing about it, I think, is, Dortmund's stance, because like you correctly said, up until recent years, they have pretty much sold. I think Lewandowski's was the last one where they kind of really stood firm. But I think maybe one of the things that I think it was Uli Hoeneß, or one of the guys from Bayern Munich, said during the close season is that he said that we want competition in the Bundesliga. It's not like we don't want competition, and if Dortmund didn't sell their best players, then maybe they could give us some competition. And I think from what I read in Germany, that really kind of stung and really hit home to them. That within their own country, people are kind of seeing them as basically a team that's happy to come second because they're selling the best players, and that might be a component or one of the things that might influence them.
Mate, I don't disagree with that. I think they want to. Like I said to the previous caller, though, the Haaland deal smacks that whole theory in the face. I know the deal was done before those comments were made, but you can't be. And this is why, again, when people try to banter me over the Haaland deal, I look at them and think, you pathetic human being. You think that you think that banter is going to work on somebody with my intellect? I'm joking. I'm being arrogant there. So do you think that banter is going to work on me? I've said this for such a long time, and I've never had a debate with him. But the guy, I forgot his name right now. Sorry, gentleman from the Guna Talk TV is like, I'd love to debate with you. United should want to act more like Dortmund. And for years I've said the same thing. I would never want. for as bad as we've been for 7 years, if someone said to me, right, we're going to follow Dortmund's model to the T, we're going to become like Borussia Dortmund, I'd cry. I'm never happy to just be a bridesmaid. I'm never happy to be a side dish. My club, I wouldn't want that. And until Dortmund, and the thing is, the problem is with Dortmund is if they don't do their deals in a way that allows players to leave sooner rather than later, I don't know if they sign the Gio Reyners, the Sanchos, the Bellinghams, the Haalands, the players that they get in. I mean, how are they not in for, or did they not get Hakimi now this year after he spent a year there? Why? Because he probably was like, look, I want a big money deal, this amount of time on it, and I want to be at a club that I know isn't going to sell half my squad. Like Inter Milan, they look like they're trying to build for something again. They look like they're going to go for it now over the next 3 or 4 years and try and win some major trophies after kind of going back into the wilderness for a while. That sits in people's minds. Why do people always want to leave selling clubs? Tottenham have almost changed that model in recent years. Like you haven't been able to get any of their stars, and they changed it, but they had to dig their heels in to do that. And it took a long time for people to not look at Tottenham as a selling club. Because I remember the first 18 months of Harry Kane killing it and Dele Alli killing it. The word from fans was, Chelsea, Man United, City are going to come pick that squad off soon. Never happened. Now, Dortmund, the only way around that is to ensure their players can't leave in that way. I'm not convinced that Bellingham has signed a deal that doesn't say something along the lines of, in the next 2 years, if an X offer comes in, you can go. Or we'll honor it. I just don't believe that they've done that. I believe they signed so many talented young players with the agreement in principle that you can go in a couple of years if certain teams and certain countries come in for you, and or if the money's right. If you have that attitude, you're never going to become a massive team again. In terms of winning the big things, it won't happen.
The only thing I'd say about the Haaland deal, which I think you're right. The only thing I'd say about the Haaland deal is that they did get him for like 20 million euros. And I remember at the time, yourself and other United fans were talking about him being like an 80 million euro player. So although they've got that clause in where potentially they can sell him for 50, they also got him potentially a 60 million discount. So
financially, yes. Financially, I agree with you, Rack. 100%. They're gonna make a profit on it. The problem is if you're building a team that's about winning the Bundesliga, winning Champions League, and being that element becomes almost
it's a problem. It becomes a problem.
Look, I'll give you an example. Look how good Liverpool's financial business is. Like, I know there's been some reports today, people thinking that the numbers are being fixed a little bit because you just got 23 million. Like, the amount of money you get for like some of your average players that never play for you is astronomical, right? I'm not really worried about that. But would you be celebrating that if you were still finishing between 4th and 8th every year, not winning trophies?
So one of the things that's come up recently is the whole Mbappe thing, and obviously he's next summer he's going to be going into the last year of his contract, so he's going to have a big say in terms of which club he wants to go to. And there's been talk whether I don't think we're going to be in the market to pay 200 million for a player, but maybe if he was available for 120 million and he really wanted to come to Liverpool as opposed to going to Madrid, I don't think he's going to be coming to Liverpool to play Liverpool for the rest of his career. But
I get that.
If we could get him for 3 or 4 years, say, I would potentially be open to doing a deal where we could get him at a certain price and sell him at a certain price.
But as long as you have full control over the asset, so you wouldn't be happy with that deal if it read you're going to get him, but in 18 months after he signs, there's a buyout clause of £80 million in this market. You'd be like, oh, because you're not going to get market value again, unless you could sign him maybe for £20 million. But I don't think you'd go for that. That's not a long enough period of time. If it was after 4 years as a buyout clause, 5 years, then that cool. But you didn't answer my actual question. All this great financial business you've done, would you as Liverpool fans be celebrating it if you weren't winning trophies?
Of course not. No.
Or because, you actually, and that's my point. All these great things that Dortmund do are irrelevant. They should be wanting to win. They should be wanting to win Champions League. That's why I don't care about mythological net spend. I want to win the Premier League, brother. My team's got the worst supposed mythical net spend, but we win the Premier League. I don't care what anyone says, brother. I'm celebrating lifting that trophy. We added KJ to the call here. KJ, as you've joined us, KJ, there's been a Fabrizio tweet saying Man United are now in talks with Cavani's agent. He wants a long-term deal and more than £10 million in wages a season and huge agent fees. This stinks to me again. If it happens, This smells like a Woodward deal, and this could break Man United. What do you reckon?
This is it. No, it's gonna happen, isn't it? I can see it. I can see it. This man is just continually ruining our club, and I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. We ain't gonna ever.
Cavani. Wow.
Cavani is 33. He's going to be 34 by the end of the season. He's had 2 years of bad injuries. He's just a big name who wants high wages. It stinks of Ed Woodward. This is what he does. He has no clue what he is doing, and he needs to stop. Like, I could go on for ages. I could.
Reminds me of the Falcao deal a little.
It's exactly the same as the Falcao deal. It's exactly the same as the Schweinsteiger deal. We know what this is. We already know what this is. This is Ed Woodward at his finest, at his most incompetent.
Yeah, and the thing with Cavani is 3-4 years ago, I'd have been buzzing. When the man was scoring like 31, 25, 49, 40 goals a season, great. The last 2 years, that's completely drifted away. It's such a... See, the Cavani deal is such a panic buy. It's unbelievable. I've said it, I'd rather promote an academy player. I'd rather promote an academy player and give them an opportunity. It's an absolute madness that we'd even look at that. Now, listen, these reports could be, we're talking to the agent. It could be very quickly. We go, absolutely no way. We walk away. The media will spin this on for a little bit of time. Of course they will. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Cavani's a free agent, so potentially you could sign Cavani after the deadline. So this is not something that United would have to rush into. They could
they will rush into it because them man love this PR thing. They like, oh look, we signed Cavani. Look how great his history is. Not thinking the fact that the man's been injured for like 2 years straight. He got displaced by a young Icardi, and that why did PSG let him go? Why would PSG let him go if he's still prime and fit in his best interest?
He's a free agent. He's a free agent. His contract's finished.
But they let him go though. They still let him go. Looking at his injury record, right? Barely got injured for the majority of his career, right? Like he had one injury in 2013, in 2012, one injury in 2014, but these were like a few days here and there. He had one in 17-18 season where he missed 4 days. But then in the 2018-19 season, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 injuries accumulating to over 100 days missing. Last season, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 injuries, again, adding up to about 100 days missing. So over 200 days missing, dozens and dozens of football match is missing. He's 33 years old. He wants to be paid 10. I mean, they said over 10 million. I haven't even done the math on that, right? Because it don't work like that, right?
£200,000 a week. Yeah.
How much is it?
200K, bro.
200K a week plus the massive agent fees is crazy. Plus, this talk about getting Telles for a free. This is why I don't believe that either, right? We've offered 8 million quid. You do realize if you sign a player like Telles for free, who's going to have all and sundry after him, you're going to end up paying about £8 million in agent fees and signing on fees anyway. And they always get bigger wages. You're not going to save this notion that signing players for free saves you money. It's not, it saves you some, but it doesn't save you dramatically. It really doesn't save you dramatically. It's a craziness. The Cavani deal for me, it smells a little bit like the Dembele deal. It's a big worry. KJ, obviously you were live earlier when we got the news about Sancho being missing. How are you feeling about it now?
I've got to the point where I just want to know, like, if we make a bid or if you walk away. Just like it's got to that point where I don't care. Just do what you. If we're not gonna do this, yeah, just come out and say we've walked away from the Sancho deal and then move on. I would all this. Oh, we're waiting. No, we've got 3 days left. Put the bid in, or don't do it at all. Just walk away now. Just do it now. Just put us out of our miseries, because this is what happens. We let United just get away. Well, we can't. I say let, like we can do anything about it, but United just linger on and on and on and all these deals, and end up either paying what we need to pay to get done, or making ourselves look stupid in the process. If we had walked away from this deal straight after the end of the deadline, and then we moved on, United fans could get on with that. We can get over it. You know what I mean? We can move on. We go, all right, cool. It wasn't the right time. We don't have enough money. It's annoying, but we move on to the next titles. Dembele wouldn't have been so frustrating to hear if we had done that. But we've taken it all the way to this point, and there's no confidence. There's no confidence or trust in this board and Woodward to get this done, and that's why I'm annoyed. Because all these other players that we'd never heard of before, that we was in for, we're now getting in for. And it just stinks. And all these players just stink of Woodward. And it just makes me angry.
Yeah. And the biggest person that will suffer in all of this will be Ollie. Because Ollie will have to manage. By the way, we saw some very good players at Man United. I'm not going to denounce that. But the way today's sounding at the moment, if there's no signings today, the pressure on Ollie and the boys tomorrow is absolutely unyielding. If any, it's not even about beating Tottenham. This is how bad it is. We have to beat Tottenham and play very, very well for there to even be this is how it will be from a lot of United fans. If we win 3-0 tomorrow and play really well, you'll still get this reaction. Because from a lot, it'll be, because we haven't made the signings. If we lose or draw and or play badly tomorrow, you are going to see a reaction from Man United fans like you have never, ever seen before. Forget, guys, a good pal of mine. Forget Andy Tate's rants. Forget Goldbridge, you're a prat. As in Goldbridge saying that, by the way. Forget Saeed going viral. Forget that short Mancunian who went crazy mad. All of that is going to look like two fleas having a light your fart competition in comparison to the anger and the breakdown and the frustration that you're going to see from Man United fans tomorrow. And that's why I'm angry at the board. More than not signing play, I can get over that. It's the pressure this now heaps upon everybody. Every time Rashford has a shot and doesn't score, every time Pogba has a misplaced pass, every single time anything along these lines happen, there is going to be ensuing meltdowns. Oh my God, what a tackle that was by Yeremina to stop a goal going in there. And by the way, Everton, sensational. I know a lot of people think I'm baiting when I say this. They have been the best team in the league so far this year because they have looked comfortable, quality, front to back in every game, defensively and attacking.
You know what it is, Terry?
Why?
Because you can tell in this club, for the first time in a while, that they believe in their manager from board to the players.
Yeah.
They've got that synergy going on for what I haven't seen in Everton for a long time.
Yeah, you have the manager moving in the right direction. The board and finances, they've spent a lot of money, but they're moving in the right direction. The fans are on side because Ancelotti's undoubtedly a world-class manager. And yeah, to be fair, even I'm a Liverpool fan, they are doing very well. So,
and again, we're 4 games in. It's their best start to a league campaign since 1965. And look, Liverpool are still going to win the league and are still a better team than them. And this just goes to show, right? It's front to back, top to bottom, inside out. The board, right through to the tea ladies, right through to the groundsmen, right through to the caretakers, to the fans, to the players. They're all brought in together. Man United, I think we've got a good manager. I'm not going to put him on Ancelotti's level. No one would do that. We've got a good manager. We've got very good players. We have fans that want us to win. Probably all the staff want us to win. But then we've got board members that are completely and utterly ripping this club apart. They just conceded another goal there, though, Everton. Actually, it's 4-2 in that game now. Basuma just scored. But it's like they've got their plan of action right. With us, imagine how you feel as a player. Imagine how you feel sitting there as the Rashfords and Pogbas of this world, thinking to yourself, we promised this. We could have got Sancho. We could have got this player, but instead you haven't backed us. Does that tell us you're serious? If you're not serious, should I be serious?
This is what
it's the knock-on effect. It's the domino effect. We've got some super chat to do here. Nick Peters, I'm ready for the deadline day photo. A smug-looking Woodward with his arm around Cavani as he's just signed one of the world's, as if he's just signed one of the world's best in his prime. Mate, I get that. I can imagine him doing that too. David Hunt with a super chat says, Prob's not a popular opinion. Cavani is still a world-class striker, is what David Hunt thinks.
That would be the case if he actually played football.
Yeah, he's been out. Do you know what it is? I don't even think it's about the quality of the player because Di Maria was still a world-class player. But it's is it right? Jordan Such here says, hi, Terry. Do you think this Dembele deadline they have set for United to pay is real, or do you think they will still sell on deadline day? I think they really set it. But this is what I mean. Proof's in the pudding. I gave the example the other day. I think it stands true here. When you've got the money on the table in front of you, sometimes hard to turn down. And then it becomes a battle of who comes out smelling like roses. And I'm not about that. Like, I don't really care on a personal level, but I understand that the clubs do. They all want to look a particular way. Simon Bolton, thank you for becoming an official member of the Football Terrace. Another super chat here. It says, incoming meltdown coming from Man United fans.
Mhm.
United fans have got a right to be angry. Go on, mate. I bet you are, Rack. I bet you are, Rack. I bet you are, mate. I bet you are. What's better business? 23 million for Brewster or 27 million pounds for Andres Pereira?
I mean, Brewster hasn't played much for us in the first team, but he's got talent. Pereira's played for you guys and proved not to be of an adequate standard. So I'd probably say Pereira, to be fair. But you know, at least for, you know, if he's not going to make it at Man United, he might as well get the most money. So yeah, decent business in that sense.
Interesting. So Fabrizio's tweeted again. When I see a tweet like this is what I hope's true, because I stand by this. I'd rather sign nobody, no one, not at all, than sign what I would call old-fashioned Woodward style players that he just picks. Fabrizio tweeted and said, Man United are in talks with different players, but won't accept to pay crazy wages and agent fees of Edison Cavani. Talks continue. Won't accept to sign Dembele on a permanent deal, as Barcelona are only on loan, so that's not easy to do. And won't accept to pay 25 million euros for a player who is free in 8 months' time. I don't disagree with any of those standpoints. That's right. Like, but this is where Man United fans have got to stick now their opinions out there and say, this is what I'm going to stand with. Do you either want us to pay over the odds, take deals? The Dembele deal on loan for a year, by the way, not as, if you don't get Sancho, it's not that great. It's still better business than buying him, because if his body breaks down, he's on loan, you can send the geezer back. You know, if he ruptures a cruciate ligament after 1 day's training, he goes back, we don't cover the salary. If you buy him, he's our problem. The Cavani deal, if we could bring Cavani in now on 100k a week, very low sign-up fees, and it's the cost is much smaller, it doesn't bother us.
Pay as you play.
Yeah, something like that. That'd be fine. And that's the difference here. I'd rather not do business than do bad business. That, like I've said, and I'll stay true to my point, that sets a precedent for the future that we can be walked all over. Because that's why we're here. And the only way we get out of this, sometimes you've got it's a battle of attrition. Sometimes you're going to have some really bad transfer windows. I blame Woodward still, because it hasn't just happened this 1 year. This is an accumulation of years of being run poorly. But how you get out of the mire, how you get out of being run badly, is by being run better. And sometimes when you do that, you suffer short-term pain. You know, it's tough love, essentially. And we may have to go through that. But the bit that's winding me up the most is the pressure this will put on Ollie, which I don't think can be helped, which means United fans like me have got to protect him as best we can. And the other element is, if we succumb to this pressure and do stupid business, that for me is far more detrimental than no business. I'm not sure what you think of that, KJ.
Yeah, listen, I hear what you're saying in terms of the short-term pain in order to get the status back and be able to actually operate properly. I was all for that after Jadon Sancho, bro.
Mate, I get that. And by the way,
after Sancho, I'll be all for the short-term pain, they're not paid over the odds, blah, blah, blah. I'm cool.
And bro, I agree with you.
It was supposed to be a statement of progress, and we've not only just not progressed, and we've made it even, we turned it on our own heads and make us look even worse. And that's what I'm frustrated about.
Bro, 100%. And you're 100% right. Sticking our heels in with these other deals would have been a lot easier if we had Sancho over the line. So I can't, agree with you more. Like, I literally can't agree with you more than that. What makes this window worse then? Let me rephrase. What makes it worse is to then do these crazy deals just to bring bodies in, smash the wage structure that we've been working 18 months on to fix, bringing in players that don't really want to be here, buying injury-prone players, overruling the manager for players he doesn't want in the first place. I'd rather keep all that money. By the way, all that's going to cost us a lot of money still. You know, it's going to cost us tens of millions of pounds still. You can't get money back you've spent. It's weird. Oh, you'll make it back elsewhere. You never make money back. Once you spent money, it's gone for life. It's done. It's finished. It's over, right? That money's gone. I'd rather wait and then go back in for Jadon in January with a big money bid than waste it on Cavani and waste it on Dembele if Ollie doesn't want them. It just doesn't make sense to me to do that. It's short-term thinking, and short-term thinking, cheap is expensive in life. And I don't want us to keep going down that road. I won't back what Ed Woodward has done to us again this summer, but I would prefer him to not make it worse. It's how I stand on this. I really, really do. But boys, I appreciate you both joining me and giving us your opinions. Everyone tuning in, please smash the like buttons. We're going to be live after the Leeds Man City game. But until then, take care of yourselves. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye.